The extent of intuitive eating that we as children had is something that we will never ever get back. Even without being actively in the food and fitness community online, we are confronted with articles about health, videos about why you won't lose weight, and at least one relative or friend who's on a diet. I grew up in a household that never really put any labels on food. We ate everything, from chocolate to salads. And I still managed to develop a pretty rough relationship with food and my body image. As a kid, I was an incredibly picky eater, hated most vegetables, and I was terrified of sauces. Yes, you heard that one correctly. Everything more liquidy than Nutella was a clear no for me. And while I really do not miss the dry foods only era, I do miss just eating whatever I want whenever I'm hungry and not thinking about food that much, but just enjoying it. So in this video, I will try to eat like my childhood self, just to remind myself that food is so much more than calories. Therefore, I came up with a 3-step plan to make it as accurate as possible. So enjoy the video. Step 1. Research. Starting out by looking through some old photos of myself to find repetitive eating behaviors. And let's just say, being German, bread was and still is its own whole food group. It was a non-negotiable that I would include bread in all its different varieties, like a typical German weekend breakfast, as well as a stereotypical Abendbrot we used to have almost every evening. I also have always loved eggs. My favorite cake was this specific one, and in general I was just very happy around food. Step 2. Groceries. Pretty self-explanatory, I guess. So my grandma used to cook pretty much every day for me and my sister after kindergarten and school, and I think my passion for cooking is rooted in the love she pour into our meals. She's one of the most generous human beings I've ever met, and I feel so deeply sorry for the time I rejected her food because I felt like it didn't fit my diet anymore. Food isn't always linked to nutrition or even hunger, and that's okay. Food connects people, cultures, and generations. The last and best step, eating, and telling you why I'm doing all of this in the first place. Eating has always been a very much celebrated thing in my family. Whenever my mom had to leave early for work, my grandma allowed me to have white bread with chocolate sprinkles for breakfast while watching TV in the morning. Life felt like it couldn't get any better. My mom packed my lunchbox for school every day until I was 16, and my dad is responsible for every single barbecue. My sister's love language is to buy me my favorite chocolate protein bar. I loved having cereal as lunch in the summertime, removing the mashed potato part from my tater tots and fill it with all the other side dishes, and I ate around 5 nectarines a day when they were in season. Food has never only been nourishment or fuel to me. Cherries taste like summer, Streusel like my grandma, fries like going to the public pool, getting McDonald's like holidays, mashed potatoes with chicken taste like a Sunday afternoon, grilled sandwiches like my best childhood friend, and little sausages just like my birthday. There was a time where I've lost this little girl's happiness around food. The happy memories about my grandma's fried potatoes turned into a fear of the amount of oil she used in order to fry them. The inside of the lunchbox my mom packed went into the rubbish bin. Bread, one of my most reliable and best friends, turned into one of my worst enemies. Things I used to eat on a daily basis became a once-in-a-month treat. Well, food wasn't really a problem until the age of 12. Since I can remember, I have always been a little insecure about my body. The first 10 years of my life, I was a chubby kid. My childhood best friend was always the prettier, or at least the skinnier one compared to me. Everyone liked me, but no one particularly for the way I looked. That's what I thought, at least. I remember my doctor telling my mom while I stood right next to her that she should keep an eye on my weight. Since that day, when I was around 6 years old, I feared not only going to the doctors, but especially the thought of getting weight on the scale. I paired my childhood best friend with the guy I had secretly a crush on, cause he wouldn't fall for me anyways. I wasn't pretty, wasn't skinny. I was sporty, kind, smart, generous, happy, loving, funny, and so many more things. And yet I was much more focusing on what I was not instead of all the things I was. Going to high school, things changed. I grew out of my chubbier body and somehow grew into being the popular girl. And you know what? The irony is that it didn't fulfill me at all. Being reduced to the way I look and building my whole self-worth on a foundation of older guys' superficial compliments instead of the human I used to be only fed my bad body image. I would still compare and find flaws in no one but myself. Nowadays I realize being loved and admired by others will never compare to being loved by yourself. I made these all by myself and it took ages, and I didn't film it because this would have just been a whole video on its own. I'm gonna link the recipe down below. I'm not sure if you know these, but I grew up eating these and I loved them. I have no clue how they turned out. They look gooey, they look good, so let's give it a try. I'm excited. And I forgot who I was. My validation was completely built on what others thought of me and my appearance. I needed something just for myself. I needed to control something in my own life. And I found it in the way I ate and the number on the scale. The one thing my 6-year-old was avoiding at all costs, I was obsessed with then. I didn't only lose a ton of weight, I lost the sparkle in my eyes, my friends, the ability to eat my grandma's food and the energy for daily living. I swapped my size for my life. I honestly think besides fish fingers, creamy spinach and potato mash or mashed potatoes, this was my most eaten meal as a child. And since they just launched the Dino Nuggets here in Germany, I could not resist and give it all a try. And I used to always empty out my tater tots. So I used to open them and then take out the mash part and add in my vegetables as well as little pieces of my nuggies. That's how I used to eat my tater tots. And let me tell you, it's amazing. So listen, I know you're about to book a judge by its cover. I know you're about to judge a book by its cover. I think this is a pretty Dutch breakfast, to be honest. And I don't know why my grandma made this for me all the time, but every time my mom had to leave early for work, this was my special breakfast that no one knew about except me and my grandma. And it's sprinkled on toast with butter. And I actually haven't eaten that since, I don't know, probably 15 years or something. So I'm really excited. I also haven't had sprinkles in so long. So let's give this a try. Oh my god. So here's the thing. Whenever I feel like restricting myself or hating my body, I try to think of exactly this little girl. She deserves to be seen for the kind human she is and always has been, not for her body, for being someone's best friend, or for the amount of superficial compliments she gets. Look at her and ask yourself, what would I tell her? And shouldn't I maybe tell my present self the same?